Ever wondered why it's completely silent in outer space, even if you scream at the top of your lungs? This story will take you on a chill but fact-filled trip about the quiet of the cosmos and how scientists listen to the soundless universe. Imagine you're riding a rocket, then you exit Earth's atmosphere. Everything looks cool: stars, planets, galaxies. But there's one strange thing: total silence. Not a peaceful quiet, but like all the sound buttons have been turned off. You try to say, "Hello?" but there's no echo, no wind, nothing at all. It feels really weird, like the entire universe is on mute. Even if you clap your hands, there's zero result. Why is that? The answer is simple. In outer space, there's no air. Sound needs a medium to travel. On Earth, sound travels through air, water, or solid objects. But space? Completely empty. Without air, sound vibrations just stop in their tracks. You can scream as loud as you want, but it's just a futile effort. Your sound can't go anywhere, like a message that never gets sent. But strangely, in space movies, you often hear huge explosions, whereas in reality, even a meteor hitting an asteroid wouldn't make a boom sound. Not dramatic at all, like on the big screen. Astronauts experience this too. They can talk using radios, but that's not real sound. It's electromagnetic waves sent by devices, not sound traveling through air. Technology saving the atmosphere. So if you're standing on the moon and a friend throws a rock at the surface, you'll only see the dust flying. No sound effects, as if all events are purely visual. Space is silent not because it's empty, but because its physical nature doesn't support sound. Even if a star went supernova near you, you'd only see the light. The sound? A big zero. But don't get it wrong, this silence actually makes space feel more mysterious. Many astronauts say they feel small, but also at peace. Like there's a tranquility that can only be felt, not heard. However, this silence is also dangerous. For example, if small debris hits the ship, you can't hear the warning signs. Everything depends on sensors and warning screens. No crunch sound beforehand. Even in space, your heartbeat sounds clearer, but only from inside your own helmet. Internal sounds can still be heard because they travel through your body, not the outside space. Imagine you're floating outside the ship, accompanied only by the sound of your own rhythmic breathing. Huff, huff. It's like you're the only living creature in absolute tranquility. And sometimes that feeling of solitude makes the imagination run wild. Astronauts often say the silence in space makes their minds wander, thinking about life, Earth, even small things often forgotten. But don't be mistaken, even though there's no sound, it doesn't mean there's no activity. Galaxies keep moving, stars are forming, planets are colliding, everything just happens in total silence. So, the silence of space isn't a sign that space is empty. On the contrary, many chaotic things are happening without us hearing them. Space is like a movie without a soundtrack. The visuals are cool, but without sound. This silence forces scientists to find other ways to study space. They use light, radio waves, and particle detection. Sound is not part of the game in this cosmic arena. But this silence actually makes you even more curious. If there's no sound, what's really happening out there? What are we missing without being able to hear even a little? These questions became the starting point for many cool discoveries. Because to understand space, we have to use new methods, not through our ears, but through technology and imagination. And precisely because it's quiet, space becomes the best place for contemplation. Many astronauts say, "Here, you can hear your own heart." Not a metaphor, sometimes they literally can. But wait a minute. If space is that quiet, how can scientists hear the collision of two giant black holes billions of light years away? In the next story, we'll uncover the secret. So, if space has no air, how can scientists hear black hole collisions? The answer: they don't hear actual sound. They capture vibrations in space-time called gravitational waves. Gravitational waves are like ripples on water, but in the fabric of space and time. When two super heavy objects collide, space itself vibrates. Detectors on Earth capture these subtle vibrations. Then, these vibrations are converted into frequencies humans can hear. So, the sound you hear from black holes isn't real sound, but a scientific interpretation based on vibration data. That's why recordings of space sounds are more like mysterious hums or low tones. It's not because space has sound, but because our computers create versions our ears can perceive. On Earth, detectors like LIGO and Virgo are super sensitive. They can detect vibrations as small as a change in the length of one atom. Crazy, right? So tiny, yet revealing supermassive events. Gravitational waves expand how we hear the universe, not through our ears, but through advanced tools that make space seem like it has its own secret language. Amazingly, this lets scientists know things previously impossible to see, like neutron stars exploding or two black holes merging like magnets. All can be heard through data. But remember, if you were right at the location of that collision, you still wouldn't hear any sound. Even the most dramatic events in the universe happen in absolute silence. But that doesn't mean space travel is completely silent. Astronauts can still hear equipment sounds inside the ship because there's air. Outside the ship, silent. Inside, sounds still exist. The silence of space can also cause stress. Without natural sounds, the brain loses environmental cues. That's why astronauts often use music to stay calm and focused. However, behind space's silence, one thing is certain. Earth is full of sound, and that makes our home incredibly special. From wind, rain, laughter, to the sound of passing motorcycles. None of that exists out there. Astronauts often say what they miss most in space isn't food or walks, but sounds, morning birds, ocean waves, city noise, the small things we usually take for granted. Silence also has a magical side. In outer space, without sound and distractions, you can see galaxies as clear as glass. Every twinkle of a star feels more alive, precisely because it's not accompanied by sound. And if you notice, that silence makes everything feel bigger. The universe becomes like a giant stage that doesn't need audio to amaze us. Even so, scientists keep looking for ways to hear more things. Not to find real sound, but to understand the movements of massive objects that alter the fabric of space and time. Every gravitational wave captured is like a message from billions of light years in the past. We're only hearing now something that happened before humans existed. Absolutely mind-blowing. So the point is, we can't hear in space because there's no medium. But with technology, we can translate cosmic events into sounds we can understand. That silence isn't a limitation, it's an entrance to a new sense of wonder. And precisely because space is quiet, we can understand the cosmos not through our ears, but through science. So if one day you ride a rocket and leave Earth, don't be surprised if it feels like you've entered mute mode. It's normal, space is silent, but its stories never stop. And in the end, the silence of space teaches us one thing. Sound isn't everything. Sometimes it's in the quiet that we can hear more things we never previously realized. And if you like stories like this or are interested in similar topics, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you won't miss out on other exciting content. In the next video, there will be an even more interesting topic. It could be more mysterious, more entertaining, or even more surprising than you imagined. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to stay updated. Likes and comments also help this channel grow. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.